Hey everybody, welcome to my chess stream here. It's morning, 10 a.m. Wednesday on Lee Chess and Twitch. I want to thank you guys for subscribing on Twitch. Asterbait, Gladys Troll, we've got a couple subscribers here already. If you guys continue to support the stream, I really appreciate it. We've been going for, almost 2 years now. It's hard to believe that I've been doing that this long. It's sort of unreal. But just about 2 years ago, I started this project along with my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. But I've been paying much more attention to the Twitch stream than YouTube lately. So anyway, good morning, guys. I was mentioning we had snow here, which is really unusual. The temperature is almost like always hovering above freezing. So here in Budapest, we rarely get snow, but it's nice to see that outside. My project, Gladys Troll, is that a bad word? All right, we don't have the board in front of you. We don't have a board per se. I was just looking at the leaderboard here. I've got challenges from Diva Karan, Serbian Santa Claus, aka Dear Santa Claus, and Troll in a Roll. Now, Troll in a Roll, I'm gonna play this Chess 960 game, but you guys have got to let me remember that I'm supposed to play unusual openings. That's the theme on Wednesday. So until further notice, let's get the troll challenge so I can wake up, get this out of the way, and not interrupt my thought process when I'm trying to play unusual openings. This doesn't help me to remember that I'm supposed to play different stuff because there is no opening in Chess 960. But I'm humoring Troll. He loves the Chess 960, so because he's a subscriber and he supports the stream, I will make an exception and play him in Chess 960, but I won't play any other Chess 960s today. Unless you subscribe and beg me to play Chess 960. Epithetos, thank you for being here and subscribing. Epithetos. You played on Sunday, right? Or am I crazy? E4, E5 would be, I guess, like the most standard move here. To just do symmetrical center. But I don't know. I'm drawn to imbalance naturally, I think, and just playing the Sicilian. Sometimes I try to force the Sicilian. This is probably a little dangerous for my king position, so. On the upside, I mean, the move just controls the center, which is obviously important. It's also supported by my queen, so it has some kind of justification, but I don't think it's really absolutely right. There's also a question about how to get these bishops out. I'm not sure. Fianchettoing with f5 would be good, but he's played e4. So maybe I could play like g6 and f5 and try to undermine his center with that advance while getting both my bishops out on the queen side. Can the unusual opening include fianchetto to against old Sicilian? I'm not sure I can translate that, but I don't know what you mean by old Sicilian. There may be some strange wording of openings in the Opening Explorer or some other sites that might call something an old Sicilian. I think I've seen that somewhere. I'm not sure what you mean by old Sicilian, though. So Diva Karan is G. 3G, Tamil. What about 5G? That's where it's at. Diva Karan. Alright. When 5G Tamil comes out, we're going to be in trouble. Jean Renault. What made you say that, Gladys Troll? You just say random stuff. Congratulations to GM 3G Tamil for winning the Blitz tournament last night. Haven't played in a while. We're in the Blumenfeld correspondence game, right? And so ironically, that variation I said in the correspondence game, I had just played a few weeks ago, about a month ago now, against Hungarian IM. Halash Tommy, and I introduced a new scheme to sacrifice a piece against Tamash, but you can see it in my studies. I've got a Budapest Teen Championship study in my studies, and I sacked a piece against Tommy, but I don't know that it's 100% correct. I drew creating a new idea in this Blumenfeld line. Okay, the idea of sacrificing a piece in this variation is not new, but I tried to do it earlier than it's been done before. But that is a really good line. I played that line myself at Pathetos against Josh Friedel once. But I played Queen B3. See, instead of Queen A4, there's another variation with Queen B3, which might, like, I don't know why I decided to play Queen B3 against Josh. I guess it felt like it had more, maybe less exchanges or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was an epic game where I ended up almost losing and drawing. But that's a very good variation. That's one of the best. I consider it kind of like the main positional line against the Blumenfeld, which you played there. So this has been played since Bogignan introduced it, like in the late 70s. All right. It's a Sicilian, yay! But my bishop is on G8. No, my knight is on H8. No. I need to play F5 really, really bad here. Please don't stop F5. But, yeah, that's like the safest line. Halash Tamash is like a really solid positional player, and I mean, me too, so that's why we were choosing that variation. It's hard for black to win if white doesn't take any risks. But that's true of any opening, probably. Maybe I should just play F5 while I can. It's a little anti-positional in that this line here, excuse me while I stutter. This line here gives him some play, but this is the only way for my pieces to get in the game. Control and a roll not exchanging on F5, which may be significant because if he exchanges on F5, I mean, he gives my knight a decent, semi-decent square on G6, I guess. But what else should I do here? If I go bishop G7, I mean, even if I don't go bishop G7, he might have some kind of E5. But it doesn't really look good for him in this position. Introducing a scheme. My knight can head for the center and control those squares. I like this opening so far. We're both going to castle over here. Maybe that should be my first priority. It's like an afterthought. Be careful when you play a move that you haven't really thought about as long as the other candidate moves. I did that in one of my first tournament back from not playing for very long, last 2 years ago in Zalakarosh. I just sat there and like suddenly saw an idea and like reached out and played it. And there's a tendency to kind of let yourself get carried away. You need to stop and check. I mean, I played Queen D7 without really checking a lot, but it's okay. The old Sicilian, okay, Sicilian defense Schneider variation. Yeah, you're talking about this A3 thing? Is that it? Where you play A3 on move 2? Schneider. Who the heck is Schneider? Schneider. Don't know any Schneiders. I know Alexander Schneider with like EI. Okay, there's possible old player that I didn't ever hear of. He's giving up the center. And no, I've heard of this name, the Schneider variation, but I have no clue who Schneider is or was. Not a household chess player. Are you talking about A3? E4, C5, A3? acerbate. Is it better to get the rating and improve, or improve well and get the rating? Well, I don't know how it works where you are in India, but in the West, I think that, a lot of people like to, there's a kind of big market for like chess tournaments, national chess tournaments for like sections below master, so a lot of people like to work their way up and make some money on the way. Like, there are a lot of prize tournaments in the US, so in my country where I originate from, that would be a consideration. Trying to win prizes in sections rather than necessarily raising our rating as fast as possible. I'm not talking about necessarily like tangibly sandbagging, but just, winning slowly, one section and another section, moving your way up, and maybe making some prize money on the way up. But in Europe, I don't think it's as, it's as much possible, and probably in India, I mean, maybe the tournaments don't have a lot of prizes, kind of like here, so it's not really a big deal. I wouldn't think it really matters. I mean, you just want to get better, and your rating will catch up with you either way. But if you were like living in the United States, I would say you should just like, focus on improving and winning big prizes in different kind of rating sections and stuff, but if that's not an issue, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think just getting better and playing, but I think you need to play to get better, so your rating will go up the more you play, typically. Okay, the pawn smile. My original plan was to castle queenside. Now I've been like delaying it. We can kick his knight out. I mean, I guess we'll just castle. I don't know. If b4 is b4, probably would he do that? Like, seriously, castles queenside, b4. I guess there I could always play. I can always play e6 if need be. Nice tourney yesterday. I had to join late after work. At the end, my performance was, yeah. You had an interesting game against me. I'm still a little bit confused. Apparently, I was slightly worse after the opening. I don't know what I did wrong. I mean, you played a kind of weird thing with queen. I mean, to me, it was like odd, the way you did like queen d3 against me, Santa Claus, and then it was almost like you played a known sort of idea, but like a tempo down or something. But the computer didn't like me trading bishop takes d5. I can do this more insipid, less dynamic take with the knight, leading to symmetry. I normally go for with the plan I did in the game, and now what do I do? Talking about my game with Santa Claus in our tournament yesterday. This knight has to get out. Okay, I guess it's just a matter of time, but it's just a really standard closed Sicilian type of situation now. Knight f6 or knight e7? $1 million question. If I go to f6 and then g5, knight e4, I'm going to have to sack a piece on d3. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, bishop takes c3. It's quite interesting, but very unclear. Give up a valuable bishop. I'm having hallucinations. I said knight f6. Oh my god. That's the problem with chess 960. Yikes. I hallucinated my knight was coming to a normal square. Whoa. And I'm analyzing in depth my knight sacrificing itself on c3. It's a good thing I caught myself before it's too late. Anybody catch me? No, they were busy talking about other stuff. Tushar is not here. Hey, William. Koi TV. What's up? You have a fluorescent name, it's hard to read. Okay, so I was hallucinating my knight can go to e7. And now he's threatening pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen takes. Actually, he's not threatening anything. And his f pawn is a little weak. He's not threatening anything. On the other hand, my structure gets isolated. But, I mean, if I can win this pawn, that's good for me. I was just calculating knight takes f5, but he's just losing a piece there, so... Long ago, I was talking about, you know, making sure that these bishops are open, and that's why I needed to play f5. It's the only way to make sure both bishops are open. So his pawn ends up being weaker than my pawn. He doesn't have any tactic. It's just hanging. King c2. Why would you play king c2? Okay, this move doesn't do anything for my position. It just simply wins a pawn. It's not part of the grander scheme of things. Guys, this is our one Chess 960 game for today. I'm not going to play any further games of this, or any variant. And I'm going to try to play unusual openings. Hey, Romy, what's up? So that's you. Awesome. Okay, yeah, okay, this is the thing. My pawn got isolated, so I would prefer to defend it rather than lose it. Though defending it is a bit awkward. There don't seem to be any sort of tactics floating around. I have knight e5. But I don't know. Okay, there's also, let's see, knight e5 doesn't do anything, just sticks my knight out there. You know, maybe it's best to do something like bishop e6, concretely defending said pawn. Okay, he's down an isolated pawn, and he kind of artificially castled there with king c2, which is a bit weird. But actually, knight e5 might have been a strong move. What is that? What is that? That's giving up a bishop like that? I mean, most of your pawns are on dark squares. The white square bishop is... He's trying to win the pawn. I guess I don't mind here. We've got plenty of air. He's just losing on time. He's just down a pawn. I mean, this is just down a pawn for white. It's just... What happened, troll? You weren't really awake yet. So, no more Chess 960, guys. I'm going to take the challenges from subscribers first. Do we have any subscriber challenges? Not at the moment. Arsenal fan hasn't challenged me yet. So, we'll go with Diva Karan. He's a really strong player. Underrated by like 200 points, it looks like. I'm trying to play unusual openings, but he played b3. Okay, let's play a5. White played b3, black plays a5. That's unusual. But actually, if you look in the Opening Explorer, this move has been played quite a bit by strong players. I don't think it would be my first choice, but it's dynamic. We're not like playing h5 on our king side. You know, some people play crazy stuff like g3, h5, for example, but that might, you know, make it hard for us to castle. The a5 is sort of a weakness that we can, well, not even a weakness, it's a slight weakening. Any pawn move is a slight weakening, but I think that it's justified to try to play a4 quickly. Now he's playing e4, so he's turning the attention to the center. I mean, having played a5, I should probably continue with a4. The Caro-Kann is like launching off to space. If you're faithful, then chances abound. Interesting analogy. You got to really know the opening. Yeah, I can't really shake playing the Caro-Kann, even though I haven't had very good results with it. Here I'm thinking it's basically like similar to a close, or see-through, or sorry, whatever it is. It's similar to the Sicilian, where like e4, c5, b3. Here I obviously don't have c5. But I can employ some of the same strategies, like maybe playing like knight f6 to induce e5, and then saying that, okay, white now blocks his bishop on a long diagonal. This move may not be that bad. Play something a little more circumspect here with e6. When I was on tilt, sometimes during my games when I was playing Blitz, when I wasn't so serious, oftentimes if I lost some games, I would get angry and start messing around, and I would love to do like this h5 and a5 type of moves for fun. But it's often very dangerous. If you can like wedge a pawn on a3, that can be annoying. Not so easy for white to deal with this a-pawn tension as it stands. Alright, I'm just going to adapt a setup here that is somewhat flexible, and we can develop our pieces. So again, if you look at a5, b3, a5, you'll find a lot of grandmasters have actually played this. As offbeat as it seems, it's a limited. A5 is really a limited amount of weaknesses. You can create unpleasant tension for white. But he's reacted well, like not taking on a4 probably. I guess I could play a3 at some point, but I'm not sure if I want to commit to that. I don't know. I don't like knight f6, e5, knight d5, do I? Gives him an awful lot of space. Seems to give him an awful lot of space. But maybe I've already given him too much space here, just to put it simply. He's very, very fast and very strong. I don't understand why his rating is 2000. He's much stronger than that. Now I could play a3, but in all these variations where I play a3, I'm not really sure, you know, what happens to that pawn ultimately. He might have tried bishop e5 check. I could play bishop c6 though. No, I think that white just stands better in the center here. I'm not sure what I've really gained with this a4. He's reacted pretty well to it. If bishop e7, he might even try e5 now. Knight f6, e5, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Where do I put my knight there? I might have to play like knight e7, knight g6. Like a hippo. Pseudo hippo. Okay, now I could potentially play e5. Looks like white's getting kind of greedy here spatially. But I think anyway I need to complete development, so it's amazing the way he left the tension there. Okay, he can take on a4. I guess I'm sacrificing a pawn. But his structure is bad after that, so it's a practical sacrifice. I don't know if he even wants to do that. I could double or triple along the a file. It's a matter of style if you want to try to take this double Isolani on the a4. e5? What? e5 looks weird. That seems really weird. I mean, he gives me c5 as a square. I guess it's not that bad. Everything's protected. Don't I have knight takes e5 here? Yeah, actually I do. I have knight takes e5. Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5. Then some whatever. I mean, if I can win a pawn, I'm going to take it, basically, at this point. e5 was kind of premature. This is obviously a risky type of way of playing with black, where I'm not developing and playing a5. But the theme of the day here is unusual openings, so we've got pretty active chances. Very, very powerful bishop on b7, obviously. Take on b3. But first of all, I really feel like it's a priority to get myself developed. I'm just checking for any kind of tactics. This incidentally defends b6. It looks like white lost all their advantage and that my bishops just become too strong. And I can just castle anytime. So black is better. But I mean, I'm not up any material. It's 6 pawns each. Of course the idea of queen g6. But I mean, I'm trying to set that up in better circumstances. If I play it right away, he just plays f3, which is what he wants to do anyway. So queen g6 immediately was a bad move, just enabling him and actually forcing him to do the right thing. You got to be very mindful about doing such things. Now, I got to consider not trading queens here. We have a slightly better ending, though. If I were to trade queens, I am underdeveloped. Can I consider queen g6? Thing is, like, I'm not really threatening anything. But we are better after queen g6. There is the move knight h4. No. Alright, I'm low on time. He's got 4 minutes. Let's try to keep it simple. We've got a better endgame here. I really strongly recommend that when you're in time pressure, you don't complicate. If I had more time, maybe I would keep the queens on the board in this game. But now he took this way, which I wasn't sure which way he would go. I guess it makes sense to open the file. Better ending, but not easy to win. Should I take his knight on f3, double his pawns? Yeah, it might be a little overrated. Looks like he's threatening knight e5. I'd really like to get rid of his bishop. It is a pity to lose the A file. I just didn't see a whole lot going on there. So we have a slightly better rook ending with a better structure. Ooh, I started to have hallucinations. I was like losing. But it's probably a draw, this position. His rook is too active, and it's going to be just too difficult to win, realistically. He's not only strong, but he's also extremely fast for his strength. The performance rating in the tournament was 2270, so I still don't understand how he's 2000 based on tons of games. He hasn't really answered that. I don't understand how your rating is so low. You consistently perform like 2250, 2270. Alright, he's thinking a long time here. Of course rook a1 was strong. It was the only move. If he goes to the d file, he has no play. Now, I mean, the same idea for me, probably. Rook a8. I have to go here and stay on all of his pawns. But there's no way for me to win the game, unfortunately. Despite the better pawn structure, it's just a draw. Because all my pawns are like sitting ducks there. Maybe I should play g5. Like freezing his kingside structure. But I still don't understand how he's so good. He now gets another draw against me. He's got a win and 3 draws, which is a pretty good performance for someone who's like 400 points below me almost. I mean, is h5 worth playing, or is it too risky? I guess I could try to make progress here somehow. But ultimately, whoa. I mean, ultimately, it's just a draw, this position. I mean, black is superficially better. If we look at the game, you know, he's played well, except for e5, which was really premature. This was a huge mistake. I mean, he's lucky he's not losing here. Black is much better. But as I said, I didn't have enough time. At this point, I have 2 minutes. He has like 350. The engine actually says I should trade queens. I guess this might be an accuracy and inaccuracy. It was bad to play rook c8, but I was afraid of some ghosts. Let's see. Bishop takes f3, g takes f3, king e7. Yeah, that's much better. Would have been better to just leave my rook on the a file. I still don't think this is a winning position, though, for black. Looks like I messed up here, like I could have won a pawn. I still think this is probably a draw. Even if I win the pawn, the computer says plus 1.7. 1.4, and usually that's a draw. When you've got a computer and a rook ending where it's like sticking to this 1.4 type of evaluation, you can usually be assured that's not enough to win. That's just a draw. Anyway, guys, let's play some subscribers. We don't have any subscribers. Mule Skinner is here. All right, my subscribers are sleeping. Your rating dropped to 1850. He knows he's up. He's playing immediately. Okay. Unusual openings. What did I have in mind here for e4 today? Yeah, I think that you haven't been playing enough, Mule Skinner. That's the big problem. I started to panic thinking this is a rated game. I'm going to lose by forfeit. By the way, my personal opinion is that the Lead Chess rules about forfeiting, like the 20 seconds, should be a little bit more. I think like 30 seconds would be a little more generous and probably appropriate. Anyway, unusual openings. What do I do with Mule Skinner? We played a million games. Look, 145. I can add 145 games. Mule Skinner wasn't here. He plays the French. You reached 2,000 for the first time last week, Arsenal fan. Then it went on tilt. Justice Bot, what? 1.4 can increase with more inaccuracies. That's true, Justice Bot. We could get it up to 5 point something. Probably if he starts dropping his pawns. But, you know, I just wanted to point out to people that don't understand the engines so much, you know, they always assume that, like, oh, 1.4, that must be winning, like if it's in the middle game or something. You know, you have to know these computer programs. They don't seem to recognize, like, a draw is a draw. You know, like, a draw is 0.00. So, you know, that rook ending is definitely a draw. I would play it out, of course, like if it was the one where I was still up a pawn, I mean, not the end. But that just to tell you guys, like, typically, like a lot of those rook end games, 1.4, 1.5 is around the point where the computer refuses to admit it's a draw, but it's a draw. That's usually the evaluation you get, right around there. So Mule Skinner played d5 against this, what do we call this opening anyway? The enhanced Mexican defense. The first person who's called my bluff with this, I don't know anything about this. I never studied it. It just looks fun, and I noticed that a few people had played this e6 knight c6 idea. Something different. I don't even know what this is called. I don't think it has a name, but probably in unusual opening chess circles, This has the appearance of like a really professional move to me. It's kind of like the Nimzovich defense where I play like e4, knight c6, d4, e5, pawn takes e5, knight takes e5. Like knight f3 there is also a really professional move. What am I supposed to do now? Like d6 or something? So like it's so drawish if I like trade and play. Well, what do I do? Should I play like takes and bishop c5? Maybe I have to. He can even take with the pawn. I mean, Bronstein would take with the pawn for sure. So there's an argument here for playing d6. That blocks in my bishop, though. If I have to play that, I guess it makes the decision for me. I'm not going to play d6 and block in my bishop, am I? I feel like I have to do this. I'm trading pieces with less space. This is fundamental. He can also take with the pawn. Okay. Oh, whoops. There may be a small hitch. And we could play other moves. We could play knight f6, I guess. I don't want to block in my dark squared bishop, though. Pawn takes pawn. Somehow that seems to favor white. There's always the ultra weird bishop b4 check. God. It's totally one of these Tony Miles, Nimzovich Scotch themes. Make him play c3 and then he can't do queen c3. That was the problem. I couldn't play bishop c5 because of queen c3 forking my stuff. What's the Milner-Barry? It's a gambit. I must have showed you that at some point. The Milner-Barry and the advanced variation of the French. It's like this really well-studied gambit. Everyone sort of knows it. So it kind of lost its bite, I think. Now there's a lot of different kind of gambits of that type in the Tarash and stuff. But the Milner-Barry is particularly against it's like the main line of the advanced variation where you go bishop d3 instead of bishop e2, sacrificing your pawn on d4. He's sending in chess.com links. Arsenal fan, what are you doing? Knight d2. Okay, well now I think we're okay. We're out of the proverbial woods here as far as the opening. It's like equalizing goes. Should I take on d5? It looks pretty solid. Like an advance, or sorry, exchange French. What else can I do though? Knight f6. Pawn takes pawn. Looks pretty boring. There's still the possibility of him playing e5. I think that bothers me a little bit. The fact that white can play e5, you know. I hope I don't like drop a bishop on b4 or something stupid. This looks pretty boring now. It's going to become like an exchange French. I mean, theoretically, I could play a lot of moves there. Knight e7. I mean, knight f6 I didn't like because of pawn takes pawn, and then e5. When white seems to have a tangible space advantage. I wasn't crazy about that. You know, that looks like it might just be bad for me. This also ensures that my bishop can get out down the line. But the drawback is that it's very, very symmetrical if he recaptures. He must be thinking about queen g4. It's interesting. I guess I could even play queen f6 if I have to. And queen g4 is the only other move for white. Neil Skinner is a French player, so. Have I ever played Indian GMs? Not too many. I played with Tejas Bakre. He was kind of friendly. We stayed together in one tournament in Serbia. Or sort of not together, but next to each other in the same hotel. There was none of the like newer generation of GMs. I've played Abhijit Kunte. I played not too many, come to think of it. E takes d5. I'm probably forgetting someone, but I haven't played a lot of the Indian GMs. No, it's strange. Of course, they didn't really come to the US to play, and I haven't played that many tournaments in Europe recently. Just some of those older generation guys. No one comes to mind. Maybe just those two. Bakre and Kunte. E takes d5. I guess my plan was to play something stupid like queen e7 check, but why do I have to do that? I should just play knight f6. Stopping queen e4 check. Anyway, queen e4 check isn't a threat. Well, Bakre was the first GM I beat, says Justice Bot. Well, where did you play him? He wasn't actually a GM when I played him. We were both IMs. So technically I'm lying. Technically he wasn't GM. Maybe the only Indian GM. It's not true. I played Humpy like twice. Okay. So I'm not counting her because she's a woman. It's not fair. It's discrimination. But she's like a special category. I didn't like put her in the category of like regular GM. She's like she has her own category. I lost to Humpy twice. Or maybe I lost once and drew the other one. Okay. I take it back. I think I played Humpy twice and had one draw and one loss. It just gets so hard to remember all my games. Bishop d3. Yeah, this is a good move. So it's just boring equality. Yet seemingly more boring for him than boring for me. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about that bishop on d3 being a real menace. Humpy. Oh, I mean, I've played another Indian player who's quite strong. What's his name? I can't remember. I'm terrible with names. He's like a 2600, but fairly young. But there's so many of them, I can't even keep track. Alright. But again, it was another guy who was not a GM when I played him. He was here. I'm a little concerned about my king side not being particularly safe. It'll come to me. No, I played Ganguly and Seth Rahman. Yeah. I had an awesome game with Ganguly, but they weren't GMs when I played them. They were like future GMs. We had an epic game with Ganguly. I was winning, but I couldn't win. You know, he defended brilliantly. We had a couple draws with Ganguly, and then I lost against Seth Rahman with white too. It was a really, really bad game by me. There's no way I should have lost with white at that point. No, I was really disgusted by my game with Seth Rahman. The games with Ganguly were okay. This position is a little weird. White seems like behind in development somehow, but at the same time, I'm not sure about my position. All right, we're going to do this. This is passive, you know, like, what am I doing? But I'm concerned about him having kingside threats. But this is probably too passive objectively. But I wasn't wrong, because those guys weren't GMs when I played them, and none of them were. Only Kunte and Humpy was. You know, I think that Humpy was already a GM, but you know, I can't swear on some sort of holy books to that effect. Man, he's putting pressure on me. You can do a d6 pawn sacrifice to shatter my structure. Playing amazingly, Mule Skinner. Very little time. d6, double-edged. He goes too conservative. Now it's like equal, probably. But d6 was definitely interesting, although risky in a sense. This is a good move too. Mule Skinner, just your average 1800. Compressing me here. Of course, trading pieces is not good for white. He plays h3, then he trades pieces. That's inconsistent. Bang, bang. Would you like to trade? Is this a blunder? Yes. Dude, if you take on g7, I might be losing there. I'm not sure. I'm down to 20 seconds and I'm starting to make stupid moves. But Mule Skinner played really solidly. I've got the open file now. Well, I had it for a second anyway. I can say that I had control of the open file for a moment. Another rook endgame. The vacuum. Hoover. The Hoover variation. Well, I'm hoovering too because I had less space, and looks like it should be a draw. This is like the queen ending that I lost to Magnus Carlsen. It's just a little bit different because there's no check immediately. All right. I'm actually blundering. He had queen takes a7. Alright, whatever. I'm good with the time pressure. Anyway, like, it should just be a draw. I'm the king of draws, man. I have so many draws. My current... I was thinking about the games that I've played since I came back to... Hungary from the summer. I've played... 7, 13, 22 games. Is that right? I played 22 games since I came back from the US, and since September I have 13 draws, 5 wins and 4 losses. That's That's like it's like a super GM, dude. I mean, that's the way that it's supposed to be. Look at any, like, statistical result for top GMs. Like, give them 22 games. It's probably something like my breakdown, like 13 draws, 5 wins and 4 losses. This is a very standard kind of result, when both sides are playing well. I am the king of draws. The draw Kirai. Dear Santa Claus, only stupid names left. So Haberbomb and Ananas are subscribers. I've got to take their challenges first. I won a nice game against Ananas yesterday. We've got to I mean, I'm just trying to play correctly, It's different if I'm trying to win at all costs. I would play differently, but I also want to teach people, like, philosophically how to play correctly. And I think you should learn to play correctly before you start to play like a maniac, Like, I was telling my students not to play the King's Gambit. Sorry, I went to your, you know what I mean? You can learn to play like a maniac later. Like, learn to play correctly first, and then you can start to learn to play like a maniac. I think that's the natural progression. But trying to play like a maniac first, playing the King's Gambit when you're like 1300, probably not a good idea. It's just, you should learn to play a solid strategic game and then build on that and expand to being able to play wild sort of tactical positions, not the other way around. Okay, Ananas, I get white, but it's unusual opening stream, so, well, against Muleskinner, that opening is interesting. I'm curious. I'll look up that after the game, after the stream, I mean, to see what I was doing. Ananas with white, I don't have any new ideas. We're supposed to play stuff I normally wouldn't play. What do you play against e4 again? I can play the King's Gambit, but I can't. The French is so hard. I like to play the King's Gambit, actually. I always like to play it in Blitz. I never played it in a tournament game. But I always like to play the King's Gambit for fun. E4, E6. What are we going to do? Okay, whatever. Do you always play the French, Ananas? It seems like I'm always black against you. Let's play this, whatever it is, this Nimzovich variation. I've done this really stupid variation I made up one time with like knight f6, bishop d3. It's like the Kopek system against the French. I used to play that in Blitz all the time to just kind of mess with people. I remember once I like beat Kaidanov on ICC with this, like knight f6, bishop d3 against the ultra correct like Kaidanov. I mean, but he just like hung a pawn somewhere. But that's not a real system. I would rather play something. Okay, but it is unusual opening stream, so I don't know. You're not giving me a chance to do my thing. That sucks. Maybe we had this once before, Ananas, I forgot. This is just like a delayed Rubinstein variation, sort of. I haven't played d4 yet. What am I going to do, though? I mean, I don't want to just play a normal opening. And now I'm kind of like forced. I'm kind of forced. I did something weird like b3 last time this happened. Objectively, like, white really kind of needs to play d4. I did like a goat sound. d4. But seriously, g3, King's Indian attack type of thing with my knight on f3. It's probably okay. I wasn't really satisfied with the b3 thing. Bishop d3 would transpose to my weird Kopek systems. But again, it doesn't seem really right. Not a lot of other options, honestly. d4, knight f6, bishop d3. Knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight f6, queen e2, bishop e7. Bishop takes b7 and queen b5 check. Yeah, that's a cool tactic. But I prefer the one where you like fork a8 and h7, you know, where you just win a whole rook. That's a little better. Winning a pawn is nice, but yeah, a lot of people have blundered that. I bet just a spot. I'm sure that that's been blundered by like GMs and stuff. Knight f6. Yeah, well, it's too late to do anything fancy. Although theoretically, I could play knight c3 probably, and justify it as like just avoiding exchanges. Just don't think my knight is on a great square there. Queen e2. Queen e2 is possible. Just to be weird. It's like a queen e2 variation against the French. That's probably what I should have played, you know. I mean, I've played this before, and I've played this in tournament games on a few occasions. The queen e2 line. Okay, the game with Ananas last time is coming back to me now, I remember. I had some sacrifice on e6. We need to develop the pieces. I had a sacrificial line on e6 last time we played. It was probably a Wednesday, otherwise I wouldn't have done this weird stuff. And I mean, if I play knight g5 like here, it looks kind of frisky. Frisky and risky. Avoiding exchanges of pieces. To calc this for a second. Knight g5. I mean, is this just stupid? It seems a little stupid this early to play knight g5. But whatever. Let's do it before I get in time pressure and start thinking later. I want to not trade pieces, you know, and try to get some attacking chances going on. So h4, take, take. We'll make him think a little bit. It's interesting. I mean, this kind of sacrifice exists in queen pawn openings a lot. You know, we're playing h4 usually to defend the bishop on g5. You know, but here I wouldn't do this in the Hungarian team championship. But when you play tournaments, do you prefer solid moves or do you always go for tricky moves? It depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. I'm playing a lot of team games lately. That's another reason why I have so many draws. But I like take less risk when I'm playing in team championship. I like don't want to be the guy who like lost you know, lost the match for our team, because it's like match point in some of them. Match points rather than individual game points. If you like, you know, one game might make the difference between winning or losing the match. They recently changed the rules in the Hungarian team championship to make it match points. In my other league, in the Budapest Team Championship, it's actually game points. So there you can play more aggressively. But in individual tournaments, I was very aggressive when I played in Swiss system tournaments. But since I started playing in round robins, you know, tournaments where like there's no prizes and stuff, it seems like the the rating points start to feel more important, or something like what else are you playing for? A5. He came up with A5. That's a creative move. I'm just basically playing the King's Indian attack here. Raise your hands if you would have played A5 for black in that position. What? What happens after H takes G5, Knight takes G5? Well, I'm not playing Knight takes G5. That's your answer. I kill myself. Alright, Rook B8. We're just not playing that move. Sort of stalling. Now he finally came up with a kind of plan, so I don't think I can leave my knight there indefinitely. Castling queenside though. I'm gonna get pinned now. Alright, dude. I can't leave it there forever. Eventually something inconvenient is gonna happen. I figure I can swing it back into the game on F4. Just a kind of King's Indian attack. I have the flexibility to castle on either side here. I didn't really calculate E5 other than the fact that it hangs a pawn for him. But it may turn out to be an issue. Maybe I need to go back to G5. It's ridiculous to go back to G5. Feels like he's threatening E5 though, which is really pissing me off. I guess I'd have just castled queenside or something crazy. Not very safe for my king position. I don't know. I'm just running out of time. This is a fail. And black is like better, maybe. Just goes E4 right away. Knight D4. Three minutes to my 2. I don't know, white's position just seems like a fail. I got no attack. Right. That's a good choice. I like that for black. Just getting outplayed. Damn. Yeah, this is a very bad move. You missed bishop c5 there. Threatening some a4. The queen is misplaced. This looks like resignable. Wow. Okay, that's not the best move. He was like winning here. Wow, dude. Just wrecking me. I think he was just immediately wrecking me with all kinds of things. C5. Played way too fast. I mean, black was just like winning, and then he's just got 2 minutes and he doesn't find the winning move. That's terrible. I mean, if you have a winning move, you should see it. But you're focusing too much on just trying to stay ahead on the clock, or try to flag me or something. I mean, there is no excuse for not playing a winning move when you have 2 minutes. The second best move or the third best move. I would definitely think you gotta play slower. Lucky that he doesn't have queen c6 here. I mean, he has it, but it doesn't win. It's just like a move. The knight is brutal. This was an awful position for me. Now I'm just trying to hold on. Still black is significantly better. Okay, I was creative. I was playing weird stuff. You know, I wouldn't have played like this on a normal day, but still. He is putting a lot of pressure on me with the time, but I still think he needs to slow it down. If it gets to the point where you're not making winning moves because you're focused on playing fast, then you're playing too fast. It's good to put pressure on the other guy, you know, and I need to play faster, but still. This is an increment game. It's not sudden death. He probably had like 3 different ways to win that he didn't play. And now it's like I'm threatening to really hold on at this point. This is an annoying move though. Too much bullet? Is Ananas playing bullet? No, ironically, he doesn't play bullet. He must have another account because he got like hardly any Blitz games here too. Unpleasant endgame. That's kind of a weird move. Still black has got the rook position, makes life extremely unpleasant. But these weaknesses, you know, are a serious liability. can't get him away from me. I don't know. I must have been lost 3 different ways. This thing, even the end game is really, really nasty. Okay, the computer says it's a draw, but this is extremely unpleasant. Earlier, he's just winning. After e5, pretty much. I think after this move, I'm just busto. My whole opening is a fail at that point. I shouldn't have brought my knight off of g5, I guess. You know, this is interesting, but I need to continue very actively here. There's no time for knight h3 and all that. I need to just go all in, basically. But he was threatening bishop b7, creating this nasty pin that I didn't know. I'm an idiot. I didn't see knight d4. Wow. Okay, this is extremely strong. Threatening knight c6. Plus sacrifices on e6 that may or may not work. This was very bad that I didn't see that. Okay. Not a great game by me. We've got tons of challenges. I got one more subscriber to play, and then I'll try to play who I can from the other guys. That was a terrible position. I can't, you know, play that kind of crazy aggression and then back off and pretend like it's a normal position with knight h3. Haberbaum is always white, it seems like. Govin Curtis is a subscriber too. I didn't see your challenge out there. Govin Kurt. Which is yours? You're Gambatovsky. Alright, thanks for letting me know. I wouldn't have known. I thought you played on a different account. Didn't you challenge me with a different account last time? I like to play this sometimes. This queen c7. But let's try this. This is a really weird move. It's probably not good. I just offer something different to throw white off. It's really not a normal line. But maybe against a player who knows openings really well, you can do something like this. I had white in last game in the Grunfeld. Haberbaum seems like a strong player. Yeah, it's banned. I was streaming. Somebody trolled me with engine. What? You had to open a new one? Wait, it's banned. I was streaming. Somebody trolled me with engine? Yeah, why would that ban you? I don't understand. You got angry and you started to type profanities into the chat room over and over and over again or something. All right. I had to open the engine as well to check if he's trolling me. What? And then you got banned. But you did it openly while you were streaming, which was a good idea. You guys are funny. Why don't you just wait till after the game to figure out if he's using a computer? After the stream, or after the game, what have you. Okay, this is a weird position. My queen on a5, definitely non-standard. Can we justify it somehow? Oh boy, knight a5 looks problematic. But maybe bishop b4. Bishop b4, unfortunately, bishop d2 doesn't look so bad for white. Oh man, this is sort of dubious. how can I possibly justify queen a5? This shouldn't be the unusual opening stream. It should be the bad opening stream. I think queen a5 is just going a little too far. But I was sort of desperate for an idea. And I play queen c7 all the time. This Quinteros variation with queen c7 is more like a really legitimate move. Whereas queen a5 borders on unsound. Bishop e4, bishop d2, and I don't know what I'm doing. But maybe I have a trick there. Not really. Thing is, he can also play knight b3 a lot, in which case my queen is just stupidly placed. Knight f6, I was thinking. He's not an e4 player, so that's good. That's true. I wasn't thinking about it. Well, Haberbaum, I don't know you that well. You know, for all I know, you played e4 for 8 years and then switched to like d4 last year or something. Knight f6, bishop d2 again. My queen is suspicious, and it's a problem. I almost feel like I have to play a6 here. And it's like I just randomly played a6. I randomly played queen a5 in the Con Sicilian. Queen a5 is a handicap. G3, knight h3, f3, and it's like the rat attack, basically. Okay, this bishop c4 is pretty strange in the setup, so I think that's enough to justify my position almost. This is not really appropriate here. I think against this kind of pawn chain where everything's on white squares, your bishop doesn't do a lot. Bishop c4 is probably a pretty useless move here. Just putting the bishop in an exposed position without any real benefit. Normally it would go to d3 or e2 or g3 or g2. g2 rather than g3 since it's on a white square. You know, so now we have like an almost normal position. I'm playing a normal Khan type of setup. Just that his bishop on b3. I mean, for one thing, it can get hunted down by a knight, which is hopefully what will happen. Though that's not the end of the world for white at all. I mean, he can easily like give me his bishop, get some compensation with the comp. This is a tempo down. I'm playing a tempo down Sozin in some lines. That's good. Not. Tempo down Sozin. Nice. I'm playing like the one way that's actually good for white. Oh boy. Maybe we should play bishop e7 now, before it's too late. Else we're going to have some kind of Nesmedinov type of sacrifices on e6 once I move my bishop to e7. Well, I can allow him to double my pawns, but what am I going to do after like knight d7, queen f3, or whatever. I mean, we're having fun. I think the sacrifice here is a little early. He could do it. It's very speculative. He says he doesn't play e4, but now he's playing like a pro. Plus he's 1600. Yeah, Govin Kurt, I don't think you should ever like use an engine while you're playing a game. Maybe h6 and g5. This is a little too risky though. Sack a pawn with g5. It's kind of crazy. Haberbaum says he's not an e4 player. I mean, he couldn't play more aggressively than the way he's played this, basically. White has a very strong attack, tons of time. He's like 1766. He's scaring the hell out of me. We should just leave the discussion. Good suggestion. Just ignore all of our problems. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you know, a lot of people... What is this, though? A lot of people always get irritated with me talking about computer cheating. But I don't want to pretend that it doesn't exist, you know, so... Alright. Haberbomb, after playing, like, perfectly, just randomly decides to put his bishop on c4. I mean, white is, like, clearly better. Here we have, like, instant bishop takes f6, followed by f5. And it's, like, a good rouser for white. Maybe just queen h5, also crushing. You have to take here, smash my kingside structure, play queen h5, and black is in a lot of trouble. Now it's not so clear. He obviously didn't want his bishop traded off, so we'll go after that again. I guess I'm not castling queenside. We'll go Kurt. I mean, yeah. Anyone can try to cheat, but it's not that easy to get away with it. I've reported a lot of people, and usually they get their accounts banned. Lee Chess fortunately does a fairly good job. Slagy should be forbidden enter in tourney for 1500 question players. What tournament is that? Michigan Chess. Well, there are various reasons why it's difficult to involve like FIDE ratings, probably. I don't know if like legally like FIDE would dig that. But anyway. I haven't heard anything about the latest FIDE financial scandal. Have you guys? They had all their money like frozen in Switzerland, thanks to Kirsan. But I haven't heard any updates on it lately. No, I mean, I think that the one thing about online chess that has to be eliminated is the anonymity for it to be, you know, safe to play. I mean, I think that's the point, you know, whatever. We can't be anonymous. The anonymity is like probably the biggest problem. You know, I don't think it's cool that Magnus keeps creating a new account every time there's like a Lee Chess title tournament, you know, because like for the first 5 rounds, people don't know they're playing like the world champion, you know. And he has that advantage every time. It's nice that he plays and brings prestige to Lee Chess, but from the standpoint of competitive fairness, that's not really cool. Okay, knight h5 is coming, but we're getting out of here to the queen side. Haberbomb has a lot of talent, and he's very, very good in the d4 openings. Saul just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you, Saul. We hadn't had a new subscriber for a while. Actually, he's a resubscription. No, I mean, if internet chess got really serious, I think you'd have to verify your identity, you know. But the thing is, like, it's still even like people would get around it. You know, if there was a lot of money involved or something like a big prize, you probably have teams of grandmasters like cheating. It's hard to police, but Lee Chess does a pretty good job. Anyway, guys, tomorrow night I'm doing my subscriber stream. So thanks to Saul for resubscribing. We're gonna do the usual like subscriber stream on Thursday night, 7 p.m. with game analysis. And if you are a subscriber, feel free to bring a game. Actually, I insist that you bring a game to analyze and share here on the stream. Still, he's fighting tough. He's down a pawn, but has a little bit of compensation because my king is not quite stable. I don't want to castle kingside. I didn't expect queen f3. You know, now I'm out of here. He's got f6 and a queen check, but that's okay. Now maybe c4. He can lock down the center a little bit, or try to. But a pawn is a pawn. He's a clear pawn down. The other option he would have there might be to play... He might have been able to play f6 or something and mess up my pawn structure. But now this bishop looks really strong. I think c4 was essential. Just a very primal position for black. Central pawns, relatively safe king. Okay, he has queen a7. I can play queen c7, queen b8. Maybe I should have played king b8. It just felt kind of slow. I have d4. This is also very strong. That stops queen a7 and opens my bishop on c6. The problem is he can mess with my bishop with knight a5. But we also have a very strong passed pawn here. It's still not that easy to finish him off. There's no direct win. Okay, I have e4, e3, and then some kind of bishop b5 threat. I can play e4, e3, and then bishop b5, maybe trap an exchange or something like that. I was expecting rook f2 now, but maybe he'll play something different. I mean, g3 is too risky. Is he going to defend the g2 pawn with his queen, or what? Actually, he can't really. But he had a good position out of the opening. I really thought white was better. Now knight a5. He can still play this, maybe, and be a little bit tricky, but black is winning eventually. But I mean, the opening, if you look at the opening, this is really, really bad. Who's done this? Only Belan Lopez and Stefanova did it in the game. Not too many players have risked queen a5. Okay, Stefanova is pretty creative. Mariotti is a player. I don't even know if is he alive? He was famed for being very creative. It's like Karpov's generation. I thought you had a good game here. But now you need to play something like queen f3. Well, the computer says the sacrifice is winning. Holy crap. Bishop takes e6 and knight takes e6. I didn't think it was that bad. Wow. But queen c4, knight d5. Apparently this is just winning. It's quite striking. It's a classic sacrifice. So, another experimental opening down the drain. Gambitovsky We've got ridiculous amount of subscribers. How do we have so many challengers here? Do we have that many viewers? Alright, I'm going to try to play these guys who are subscribers. Then I think I'll play the first couple of challengers like Santa Claus, Stupid Names, and Romy. I can't really guarantee beyond that. I mean, I think we've got time for 4 or 5 more games. Can we add like chess base to Opening Explorer? That would be cool. But unfortunately, I don't think chess base would really dig that. Chess base doesn't seem like they've really been growing too much. Nothing changes over there. Not really adapting to the modern chess world. Gambitovsky, so no engine use, please. What is the rating of my tactics? Well, I wouldn't put too much stock in that, you know. A lot of people must cheat on their tactics problems. I mean, you see these people who are like, they're like 1500, but their tactics is like 23. I don't think the tactics should have a rating, you know, like the other ratings. That's pretty arbitrary. There's no way to police people cheating on their tactics rating. I should limit my challenge to 5+3 if I want more games. Well, I didn't say I want more games, just there are more. But we should think about that. That's a good suggestion, Serbian Santa Claus. That maybe we will have to change the challenges. I used to do 8+3, so we had to kind of limit it. Now his dark squares are really, really bad here. After trading that bishop, he damages my pawn structure, but his dark squares are gone. So it's just a question of when, not if. I must play bishop a3. Not allowing him to castle. Yeah, but I think it's a good suggestion in general. Maybe I should make a universal time control like 5+3. The universal time control. I don't know. Last week I know it was like Monday we had the most people. Wednesday isn't usually so many players. I've got to play Arsenal fan, and then I'll play the other guys. You know, this I was counting because that's why I exchanged knights on c6 first, so I could play bishop e4. And just defend everything. I don't really care. I'm not counting pawns here. I don't think it's that important, but I guess if I have a choice, I'd rather not lose material. This strategically should be winning for white. Now I need to open the position somehow, though. And e4. I mean, e4 will involve sacrificing. Very likely so. Maybe I'll hold off on that. This feels natural, intuitively. It does allow him to play e5. But then queen c5, and I might also have queen h4 threatening queen g5 sometimes. Now there's no more queen a5 to bother my bishop on a3. I don't want you to get another account banned. Alright. Threatening a pawn. We've got got to rip the position open somehow for me, though. Not so easy. This is not so easy. getting a little concerned that I have enough play here. He's 1589, holding his own with the really bad opening, but structurally black is better. So I need to act fast. Avoid any kind of queen exchange. I'm not even sure if I have any threats here. Black is in real problems? I don't think it's so easy. Okay, this is mental. This is a totally mental decision to play king d7. I mean, I understand your motivation to get the rook in the game, but I just don't think that's viable. Maybe something like h5. Can he do this? Well, I mean, like queen c4, pawn takes pawn. At the least, at the least, I could win a pawn if he tries to trade queens. I probably have other good stuff like queen e5, queen c7, queen g5. That's pretty good for me. I mean, pawn takes pawn is strong, but it only wins a pawn. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes, pawn takes, pawn takes pawn, queen takes queen, pawn takes pawn check, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. And I'm only up a pawn, and he has some blockading chances. You know, so I'd rather, if it's possible, avoid the exchange of queens. But king d7, again, like, your motivation is a good one, but you can't put your king out in the middle of the board here. I mean, it just looks too dangerous. Strategic plan to get the king's rook in the game. Baxter, what is that? The PGN of a game I played recently over the board. If you subscribe, Baxter, tomorrow night we can go over the game in the subscriber stream. Pawn takes pawn, opening game. Now it's over. Once my bishop on g2 gets in, I mean, it's just... Well, strategically, black had a good plan, but he's falling apart. I have queen d6 check. Did I have that last move? So I missed mate in 2. That's good. Very intelligent to miss mate in 2. Sometimes the simplest things I just overlook. That's embarrassing. But in the simul last week, I missed a mate in 1, or 2 weeks ago. I have another mate in 1. Almost. Rook takes, rook takes. There's like fancy ways to do this. That is kind of pretty. But then I'll have like queen e2 at the last minute, so unnecessarily fancy to play like rook takes e6 check there. Easier to play the mate in 2. But I think that Gambitowski could have put up some resistance if he hadn't played king d7. Probably. Maybe ultimately not enough. If he could trade queens somehow, I would be in real trouble. Alright guys, I'm going to get to these last challenges that I can get to. Arsenal fan, Santa Claus, Stupid Names, and Romy. But the rest of you guys, I mean, there are just too many challenges. I can't play all those players. Arsenal fan, Played knight f3. Are you with us? I'm going to make it an unusual opening by playing b3. Kind of Saint-Cyr. Actually, b4 was Saint-Cyr. He liked to play b4. I should have played b4. Anyways. It's b3 opening. The Nimzovich, they call it. Nimzovich has so many names. So many openings named after him. It's basically like a Queen's Indian. Colors reversed. We could do a double fianchetto though. I don't see any problem with that. Yeah, the c5 is a strong move. I have to be careful about black playing d4 effectively. So like c4, d4, e3. Better to play e3 first. This is also a form of like reversed Queen's Indian. Microaggressions. Sounds like a book. I trade in all the time invested in chess for a $2 an hour job. All right. Well, I don't think he's threatening d4, is he? I mean, is d4 really good for black? Castle's d4? Isn't he kind of overextended? Doesn't quite look right. But typically what we'll do is play knight e5 to simplify. No, I don't think the d4 is good here for black. Too early. Kind of hippopotamus. The most dangerous animal in the world. But I need to play knight e5 before he plays e5 or something like that, or gains control of the square with a move like queen c7. I mean, so d3 is kind of passive here. c4. I mean, d3 is passive, but it's normal. Just a hippo, Queen's Indian. I think I personally prefer Queen c7 to Rook c8. Should white play c4 or not? No, it's too early. Not a very exciting line. You think c4 very strong? In which position? Previously? Well, I mean, that's the point of Queen c7 or Rook c8, that you protect c6 so that on c4 black can take on c4 or do something active. Queen d6 looks logical, but a bit odd to put the queen in such an exposed position. I don't know if I'm playing the birds, the bird Larson. Bird Larson is like when you play 1b3 and f4, or f4 followed by b3. Guys, I have time for maximum 3 more games against these guys. Knight d7, I guess I expected that. Looks very logical. Forcing my hand by making me decide what to do. Well, I mean, it's taking on d7, I guess. Making a move as queen again. And then I can play queen g4, but I think Okay, it's interesting. Queen g4. It's very Nimzabichi in what I'm doing. Queen g4, f6. Then what is the proverbial question? Man, it's kind of weird. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Actually, he can just play d4 here. This will massively change the position, but maybe it's his best move. Just plays really, really fast. Unfortunately, I feel like I should do this. It looks like I'm playing the English defense or something. White is stronger on the king side, black is stronger on the queen side. But he's got 2 minutes more than me. I mean, I'm always surprised by Arsenal fan how fast he is, but he's 1500 in bullet. Like, I don't understand. You're clearly faster than me, yet you're weaker in bullet than you are in rapid and blitz. Maybe you just panic when you get in time pressure or something. I don't know. That's the only explanation I can think of. You get nervous and panic when you actually get low on time. I've talked about this before. It seems like there are different reasons why people play fast. Some people play fast because they want to like win on time. They want the other guy to run out of time. It seems like I run into players who play fast because it's like a defensive playing fast. Like they're very uncomfortable if they don't have time. So they play fast to avoid ever being in time pressure. But when they actually get in time pressure, they just crumble, you know? Here. Got to stay solid, watch the base of my pawn chain on c2 and looking for some stuff on the e-file maybe. Okay, e5 looks... That's a really risky move. Played this very, very quickly. But I mean, that's the kind of move that you probably need to spend a lot of time on. I'm not sure what's going on, but there's all sorts of tactics like bishop h3. I don't really have another suggestion. I mean, you can't sacrifice a whole rook. Let's say like knight b4, knight e4. I don't have to rush winning the exchange here. This knight on e4 will block all of his nonsense on this diagonal. He could have considered g6 there, you know, maybe to recapture on f5. He could recapture on f5 with the pawn. It would change the whole game. I'm forced to play defender here, but I like defending, so a lot of people don't. It's not fun, you know, that the other guy has this initiative, but at the end of the day, you know, we're up to the exchange here. amazing coordination. But if I play rook f here, I really don't know which is better. What a game by black, though. He just doesn't have quite enough. Momentarily. Now the other knight comes into the game as well. Wow. It's amazing coordination, knight d8. Look at that. Again, I don't understand his bullet rating, how he can be 1500. It's like giving me fits playing like a genius. I mean, threatening knight g5 there. This is like the guy yesterday in my Blitz tournament, Koto Matsumaki Tsukami. Very similar. Just finds threats everywhere. Incredibly cagey defense. I mean, you're telling me this guy's 1500 in bullet? I don't have any tactics. I had to make sure he didn't mate me in 2 there. Man, that's a really tough game for your rating. You just fighting really incredibly tough, Arsenal fan. I mean, 1700, worth every penny. All right, Santa Claus, Stupid Names, and Romy. I'm going to try to play these 3 games. I don't have any tactics. Well, I wanted to kind of hide it, you know. It was a cheap bluff. This is a weird line. A delayed Alekine's defense. Santa Claus, come on, like you have to play e5. That's the whole point. What are you doing, man? Now you messed up my unusual opening. By just transposing to something normal. Bishop g7, e5 is bad. Okay, let's try to play something weird then. A cross between the Alekine's defense and the Caro-Kann. I mean, you played it like it was an intentional sacrifice, Arsenal fan. Wow. This position is just better for white. I can go here. I think it's better to play d6 now, because if I wait till later, whoa. c4 is sort of maniacal. You're asking for a lot now. I mean, c4. I already liked your position, but I think that c4 is... c4 seems like you're asking for too much, you know? Like, how much do you deserve here? Deserve. Is knight c6 sound? I could even play bishop g4. Everybody's fast, like Santa Claus playing bullet. I don't know why you guys don't want to use your time a little bit and think about the best moves. It's really what that's why I don't like Santa Claus wants me to change the time control to 5+3, but you guys are all people who like just play tons of bullet chess and stuff. I mean, I'm trying to get away from that, you know, where we're just playing for fast. It's too much of that, you know. I'd rather we have less games and play like thoughtful games than we play like tons of garbage games where the quality of the games is like really low. That's sort of the point of my stream. Maybe bishop g7, takes on e5, knight takes e5. Takes on e5, knight takes e5. Yeah, I like this. Why not? Maybe this was a mistake. Now I'm going to have to do something awkward. Yeah, this was a mistake. I bring his knight to a really active square on e5. I have to keep you honest. Koi TV, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for supporting the stream, guys. I was really careful. I mean, Arsenal fan would have annihilated most people, you know. He had that nasty exchange sacrifice. I mean, it almost looked like he did it on purpose. He reacted on the fly, creating all that threats, all those threats on the long diagonal and stuff. But I think that Arsenal fan, like when you played e5, you played it almost instantly, you know. That's like an incredibly complicated decision to make. You're creating all these different possibilities for both sides. I mean, that's the kind of move you should actually think about for a while before you play it. I mean, you're introducing all these new possibilities into the position. It's not like you just made like an automatic recapture or something. I was like, whoa. I mean, it's not surprising you lose an exchange. There's all sorts of stuff happening when you do that. So I kind of bluffed Santa Claus here. I wanted him to take with a knight. So I said, yeah, the knight comes to a really strong square on e5. But I was terrified of pawn takes pawn, to be honest. Like, this move is... After this move, he's got all this pressure on d5, and it looks like an Albin counter gambit. What am I going to do after, like, d takes e? I have to play bishop e6 or something horrifying. So I think, I don't know if Santa Claus is watching the stream, but I basically, like, wanted him to do what he did. Tricked him into playing knight takes e5, when I think that black is okay now. Structurally, black is okay. It's okay for white, but it's not as good as pawn takes e5. So I've got to lie a little bit, like, here and there to kind of keep you guys honest. Like last time I said I didn't have any tactics against Arsenal fan. Now I'm okay. Of course d takes e5 was very strong for white. This is an interesting position now, all these different inner positions. But anything I do should be okay for black. All moves should be okay. Bishop d7 looks kind of cool. It's like a Grunfeld. Yeah, now knight c6, I guess. I would assume that black is very, very active here. just playing this on basically on intuition. Well, pawn takes pawn, knight takes d4 is just good for black. So, what can he do? Queen takes b7, knight takes d4, knight takes d7. I have all sorts of possibilities there. Knight c2 check. If he just ignores d4, it's pretty dangerous. It's almost like he has to take on c6 and go into this slightly worse ending. But knight e5 was a bad move. Sometimes intuition is stronger than 30 minutes of thinking. Like the two worst moves I made in this, well, actually yesterday's stream, were moves that I made after I thought for like 3 minutes. I had a hallucination in one where I thought my opponent could make an illegal move. And Jakob Attila said it best last tournament when he said, long think, wrong think. It's good to think on your moves, and it's important to not play quickly, but when you go into these really long, super long, like tank thinks, that's typically when you mess up. I have queen a5 check. If I take on c4, he takes back, and then I just castle. That brings his pieces out too actively, though. I don't want to do that. He's not developed here. I have threats of queen a5 check. I have threats of e5 breaking out. No, white is in trouble. He's developed his queen, but his king isn't safe. I had this game in December that I was talking about where the guy said that, and both of us like made our worst moves after thinking for a long time. You start to think in circles. I really recommend the book Think Like a Grandmaster. Not that it helped me, but Think Like a Grandmaster by Kotov is a kind of classic where he tries to teach you how to analyze positions in trees of analysis. Like the most important chapter in the book is like the first, I guess it's like the first chapter or so, where he tries to teach this concept of trees of analysis. So bishop takes d5, bishop c4, bishop takes g2 looks pretty interesting. He didn't want any part in that, and he stopped queen a5 check. My only problem is if I play e5, he might get some ideas. Some ideas on the d file. But the c file here, there's the matter of white's king still being in the center. He's got more time. Alright. Whatever. I can play like e6, rook c8. White has problems. I guess at this point... Okay, I have a reason for this rook move. That's the reason. Arsenal fan feels better now. That's why we did fc8 instead of ac8, to be able to play bishop f8. Still not like even winning. This seems to be the only thing that this guy lives for, playing super fast in time pressure. Like his only reason for playing chess. He loves this. Time scrambles with no time left. And I would think he'd be a lot higher in bullet than he is. The same thing with Arsenal fan. I don't understand how you guys aren't higher rated in the bullet world. Still not winning. It's like a genius. Look at this. He finds defenses like this with no time left. His play, like in bullet, is unbelievable. Yet his bullet rating is, whoa. His bullet rating is actually not very high. That's very strange. I don't understand. Like, you're better at bullet than Blitz, yet you're lower in bullet rating. It's hard for me to comprehend how that works. Oh, I lost my H-pawn. Shit. Oh, he fell for it. Oh no. The ultimate swindle. Alright. I love it. Only stupid names left. Grabbing the pawn on h6. Thought you could beat me. Not so easy. We are playing unusual openings today. I'll try to get in something cool. The Boneyard Bishops. We talked about the King's Gambit. Let's try to get one in. I'm going to play this game and maximum one more. This is what? 5 plus 5. Man, I don't know the King's Gambit very well. Thanks guys for watching. We had 2 subscribers, 1 new subscription, 1 resubscription. Also check out my videos on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training, where I upload all these streams. The Cunningham Gambiter, that's different because that's in knight f3. Normally played after knight f3. This is a little bit. I don't know how bishop e7 rates against bishop c4. I never really memorized variations here. Only stupid name left and Serbian Santa Claus, what? Only 2 opponents. What are you saying, Arsenal fan? What about their names? Serbian Santa Claus. I mean, this is typically played in the normal variation, knight f3, bishop e7. Actually, how does that normally go? If I play knight f3 instead of bishop c4, you play bishop e7, then what's my next move? Is it like this? Is this normal? I don't remember. I guess this is normal. What would Steinitz do? Move his king over here, and then like back to c2 or something. That's a different variation with the king on e2. Okay, black is up a pawn, but f4 is hanging. However, I don't know about things like bishop g4, bishop takes f4, queen f6, for example. Might be interesting. g5, I'm just taking his bishop on h4 and destroying his pawn structure, I guess. I don't know if this is usual. Bishop e7 is a very special variation, not that commonly played. Okay guys, last 2 games. Saint Nicola. Wait a second here. Yeah, that is free. If it's free, it's for me. That's a stupid saying. Nothing's free in this life. He's got 2 pawns for a piece. The temptation is to be greedy and play like queen e1. But I wonder if that's not dangerous, you know? Maybe it's better to consolidate my position rather than hunting further gain of material while not developing my pieces with queen e1, kind of spreading myself too thin or whatever. This seems safer. How long can I play with my knight on h4, you know, objectively? How long can I maintain a good position with my knight sitting out there to dry on h4? Let's be... And something I do preach to people is that when you win material, you should probably stop trying to like checkmate the guy and just go into consolidation mode. There's no special prize for, you know, how you win the game or whatever. I mean, if you're up a significant amount of material, that should win the game. Don't do anything fancy. Having said that, I mean, this pawn on f4 does look rather important. I'm strongly tempted to take that. Gives him a little bit of play, though. Maybe this is a serious mistake. I have to be very careful. I don't think that rook e8 is right. You have to play queen f6 there. Rook e8 also leaves your f7 vulnerable to tactics. So this looks like a clear situation where this move, drumming up some tricky counterplay. Maybe taking on f4 was actually dangerous for me. Bishop g4 would have been the normal move initially, Arsenal fan. I mean, I think that's what he's supposed to do. Like after bishop h4 check, king f1, d6, d4, This would be the plan. That is definitely the way this is played, I believe. Then maybe he can go about his development somehow. Right. Now queen f6. Okay, but this is different. Much different. I can trade pieces. He doesn't have much attacking forces with that knight gone. That was his primary attacking piece. The knight on e4 being gone pretty much eliminates all of his threats. This is like a safe move. Guarding all of these squares against his bishop coming out or whatever. I mean, my king can just go here and eventually find a way to get my rook into the game. This queen trade. Get his queen off of f4. If your opponent has a piece that's placed on an offensive square inside your position, like a knight usually, but in this case even a queen, you should really be thinking about extracting it, you know. If they don't have pieces inside your half of the board, they really can't hurt you for the most part. So I think very defensively, and I really make an effort to think about defense even before offense. I was making this the speech in an earlier stream about the American football, saying a good defense is, how does it go? The best offense is a good defense. That's the saying, and that's Nimzovich. Starting with Nimzovich, the whole concept of prophylaxis was born. And later, of course, Anatoly Karpov, who became world champion. But I think very prophylactically in my games. To have a sense of danger is one of the most important skills that you can have. A lot of, even masters I've seen, even people who are like 2200, oftentimes have some kind of, let's say fatal flaw in their game, that they kind of, their sense of danger isn't quite fine-tuned enough. This can be occurring at every level. I'm just trading pieces. I'm up a piece or a pawn. Step by step, getting this rook into the game. Just don't do anything stupid. That's my philosophy. It works. It works up until 2450 FIDE. I can guarantee it, but up until that point, I can probably train players. Beyond that, I don't know if I can help you if you're over 2450. This is it, man. Next game, last game, coming up soon. Now we've got total control. When you're up material, don't do anything fancy, just win more or trade pieces. Next game, last game for today. Romy, provisionally, but I know him, so that's cool. All right. We've got to play an unusual opening, so I'm going to open with f4. We didn't play that today. San Diego, CA, USA, thanks for coming. I've got to disappear in like 10 minutes, guys. f4 d5. I think your response to this type of move should depend on how you play the e4 games. If Romy was an e4 player, I would think he should consider playing the gambit style with like e5. There's a problem with that particular move, though, that if you play e5 and white plays e4, it transposes to a king's gambit. So another good move for like e4 players might be d6. Also c5 if you like the Sicilian, that's fine. Thank you guys for playing today. My FIDE it's down to around 2367 now. I'm about 100 points off my high score. But I took more or less 5 years without playing almost at all. So I don't think I've still ever quite recovered from the time off. Despite that I've been playing the last 2 years again, I still am not 100% back to tournament strength. I would need to play like 100 games a year, I think, to get back to where I was when I was at my maximum. And I'm only playing like less than 50 the last 2 years. So for me, it's really important the sort of regimented playing games and playing long games again and again. I need that to play my best. It helps me to gradually get stronger and stronger. Only playing like once a week, like team championship and stuff, I don't feel like I'm really fully there. Thank you for exciting evening. Well, I don't know, it's all relative. Thank you for being here. Bishop e7. So Romi's position is okay, but I don't like his bishop on c8. It's very restricted, so this is probably further compounded by the fact that his knight is on c6. I think there, on move 4, he has to get this bishop outside the pawn chain, ideally to g4. But perhaps you can also consider f5. I mean, there's nothing catastrophically wrong with black's position, but this is a bit of an issue. And the bishop on c8. Now, I said he has a problem with c8, but he played e5, but this loses a pawn. And it's just a blunder. So, you can't go to that kind of measure to fix your position. Black really has to play, I think black has to play b6 here. And some deployment of the bishop on the a6, c8 diagonal, b7 or whatever. He would really be better off with his knight not on c6 though. But he just blundered a pawn here with e5. As far as recapturing or capturing, I have to think about this, because if I take with the f pawn, he can play knight to g4. I have to play d4. Structure changes quite a bit there. But I'm probably going to have to do that in any case. The downside of taking with the knight is that I trade off his bad knight on c6, which is like his biggest problem, essentially. So to a lot of people, this would be like a trivial position, but I'm actually thinking a lot here, because it may be a significant moment, a critical moment, Pawn takes pawn, knight g4, d4. And he has a little bit of compensation for the sacrificed pawn there. Knight takes, pawn takes, knight g4, d4, and then something again like f6. I can play like h3, knight h6 or something. But I'm still not that convinced. Pawn takes pawn, knight g4. It's not that bad of a blunder. Pawn takes pawn, knight g4, e5, f6, chipping away at my center. I mean, maybe I have something more dynamic, but I don't see it. d4, f6, h3, knight h6. My pawn is on e3. I can't take the knight on h6. My position starts to look a bit weird there. I don't know which way to take. I really have no conclusion after all this analysis. It doesn't look all that great to me. There's another possibility here I didn't think about, which is to meet knight g4 with knight c3. But he has effectively some moves like d4. Knight c3 doesn't really change anything. Oh man, knight c3, d4, knight d5. Yeah, that doesn't look like I have a choice. I have to play this, but I have a lot of weaknesses on the white squares in my position because all my pawns are on dark squares. This is not a just. At first thought it was a trivial blunder by black, and I don't know if he intentionally sacrificed a pawn, but it seems like black has some compensation. I mean, the Dutch is a risky opening and creates a lot of pawn weaknesses typically, as I have here. So it's not totally surprising if he really has some sort of compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow night with a subscriber stream at 7 p.m. So game analysis and some extra blitz and rapid games. Bring a game if you're a subscriber. We'll go over as many as we can tomorrow night here on Lichess and Twitch, 7 p.m. So still not that easy. You know, I don't like, for example, I don't like f6, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. It looks like I'm up a pawn, but my structure is kind of weird. Okay, bishop g5, an aggressive move, but he's not developing. And that might be something I can actually, you know, use to my own benefit. He's also potentially trading his good bishop for a bad bishop on c1. I mean, the fact of the matter is that e4 is, it's interesting. Unfortunately, I'll drop my d4 pawn. If I had played c3 already, I would be just totally commanding here with e4, but I don't have it. So I need to develop and make constructive moves. Queen f3 is interesting. Queen f3, queen d3. I mean, queen f3, you know, if you really wanted to, you'd be creative. You could sack an exchange like rook f4, but that's a little bit over the top. I don't know how good this is. It's not that good. I mean, I'm just not developing any minor pieces. I'm only developing my queen to protect this pawn. The overall health of my position is not that increased. In fact, my queen might even be exposed here. Moves like h3. It turns out driving his knight to h6 might not even be that good for me. But I was thinking c6, knight, c6, h3, knight h6, and then what? I still can't ever play e4 because of the d4 pawn. His queen will always get this guy, and that would destroy my whole position. You know, so h6 is a bad move. It's unnecessary. He should play c6, protect his pawn, prepare f6. Black has good compensation. h6 is like unnecessarily defensive, and it's a blunder because it takes away the retreat square for the knight on g4, which was so pivotal in all of these variations that this was able to like rebound back here, maybe go to f5, and get back into the game effectively. So h6 is a really, really bad blunder. Basically like losing. f6 is his only source of counterplay, or maybe c5, attacking my pawn chain. But the truth of the matter is that I think, okay, bishop g5 wasn't a great move. Maybe it's not so bad. But after queen f3, f6, I'm sorry, c6 first, with the idea of f6, I think that black has a decent game. I'm not even sure that I'm better. It's kind of unclear. So thanks again for subscribing, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Also, I'd like to thank everyone who's supported the stream via PayPal donations. We can always use the support. You can make a donation on the Twitch stream or over on YouTube, Video Chess Training on YouTube. If you don't want to donate, just support me by making a subscription to the YouTube channel. We can we can always use that. As many subscribers as possible on YouTube. I'm hoping to do more YouTube videos coming up in the next few weeks and months. Getting back to doing YouTube videos where like I analyze games and simul games and live games here that I've played. You know, maybe some other Grandmaster games and stuff too. But I want to get back to making YouTube videos, which I haven't been lately. But I have a little bit of free time now, so I'm not working on any other video projects. I was doing this other stuff. I did a Blumenfeld video series and a middle game video series for the Chess World, but I don't have time to do those. But I might supplement the YouTube channel with some new videos. Okay, f5 doesn't really change too much. I can win this pawn here, or I could simply take on. You know, I can also simply take on g4, but I think I like the central pawn. It's a really important integral part of Black's position. Now I can take on g4, and he's actually pinned along the f file. So it may look like this is a one-sided game, but actually it was not clear at all what's happening. Just overlooked f8. It's not mate, but it's terrible for Black. He lost everything. But again, I mean, just 5 moves ago, it looked like Black might have a pretty good game. But I'm not that used to playing this variation of, you know, the birds opening with white. So we don't have a mate. Just no mates. Bishop e4 check, g6, rook f7 check. I mean, that wins the maximum material, but it also like unpins him. So I think I'm better off just developing my pieces. If I don't have a mate, I'm just going to get on with it and develop the rest of my pieces. Congratulations for increasing fame. What made you say that, Saul? My increasing fame, what happened? I must have missed something. I just dimmed my laptop. That's weird. Can't read. Screen too dim. Well, anyway, thank you for the increasing fame. Thanks to you guys. I never planned on being famous. Just trying to make a living as a chess teacher here, and I still have hopes to be a strong player, but it's not proving easy. Because as I said, I can't really play as much as I would like to play. I think to reach my former strength, I really need to get back to playing like 100 games a year, and that's just not really doable right now. I am threatening mate in 2 for the first time. You forgot rook takes f8. It was already lost because Black was down a piece, but I think the critical moment was I really want to see this. It looks like he just blunders a pawn, but it's like not that simple to me. What's so bad about this for Black? Bishop g5 is unnecessary. You need to play f6. You have to destroy my strong center, and your knight has a good fallback position on h6. After f6 here, I think you just protect your center. And check out the computer evaluation. I'm not even up a clear pawn. That was kind of how I judged it as well. I thought it might even be lower. I would have played something like this, but I wouldn't have been that convinced that my advantage is so strong. Apparently e4. Undoubling my pawns. These doubled pawns, not that useful. Undoubling my pawns. I'm a pawn up, but Black's still in the game. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. 100 games a year only, said Westbrook. Well, at least. That's what I used to play, probably in my prime. I was playing about 100 games a year. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you later. We will see you for the subscriber stream on Thursday. So take care, and thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Check out the YouTube channel, and thanks for the support. Bye-bye.